Oh,
Hit it.
you
We're
did?
live. We are live. Look at this. Live and direct, as they used to say. It is the Stokastic League leading Week 5 NFL Pick'em show. That's Eric Lindquist. I'm Eytan Shander. At Eric Lindquist. At Shander Bets. Make sure you say hello to us on Twitter. Hopefully you're already in the VIP. We'll tell you all about that crazy stuff coming up. That's not why we're here. Although I will say, if you are, you're going to get a lot of this. You're going to get a lot of Eric talking through pick'ems, charts, what have you. I do sleeper and underdog shorts on the Odd Shopper channel. So the two of us, Eric far more than me, but the two of us at least will provide some of this for you on our own individual stuff that we're doing. Today, as we do each and every week, we're here to walk you through building some cards. Prize picks, underdog, pick six. We got you covered, my man. How are you? Fresh off a run. Look at you. You look great. You look beautiful.
Fresh off a run. Yeah, no, I did work out this morning and then showered. Yeah, freshly showered. That's very important before you get on the streams. But I just look forward to the show because I think it's a really, really good one to go through, process, and go through picks for the weekend. So it's kind of a great combination of the two. There were some cards yesterday. I kind of want to almost start with this because it was so unbelievably sad that there aren't really words for it. We're going to go scroll through because I had plays. But past lineups here. Last night, we saw an absolute shootout, the likes of which the world's never seen before. And yet, Chris Godwin, 64. They have these payout boosts going where they're giving you like sometimes 25% payout boost, sometimes 50% payout boost. Had a nice 30x, 29-1, fired up for the people. And nice. I mean, Drake London, Darnell Mooney by a mile. But this is kind of our sneaky little workaround, I think, for some correlation stuff. Finding the combo of the QBs in a game that you might be interested in, thinking going over. I was kind of looking at that game thinking, I bet there's a pass rate above expectation here in this one, considering Tampa can't run the football even if they wanted to. And then Chris Godwin. I mean, what are we even doing here, bro? What are we even doing here? How does he fall short, Eytan? They don't get the ball in overtime. They don't throw the ball in the entire fourth quarter as they're just trying to run out the clock. Our
fumble as they do that. They fumble as they hand over the football to their rookie running back.
Bucky.
I am in shambles after last night. We had the money line. We had the alt 2.5, which looked great up until it just was insane. It was totally insane. That game was stupid. It doesn't make sense. The favorite covers, the overhits, great. Okay, all you chalkers out there, fantastic. You got one. Now let's see what you can do with a full slate. They pulled you in, all right? That shit looked easy. All of a sudden, that was a wide hoop that you got that ball, and now all of a sudden it's this little thin thing that you have to jam that thing through. Let's see. That's why we're here on PrizePicks to open this thing up. All right, where would you like to begin? And then I'll show you where I would like to go, but let's start with you first.
So last week we had some good cards. I mean, when you're building out 3, 4, 5 pick cards, you're going to hit less than 35-40% of the time. Just that's the realistic part of it. Picking 2 pickers, so we can find 2 that we like on almost every site. But going into the NFL streets and MLB on Saturday, I think it's a great opportunity to look at combination cards, 2 cards that might be looking pretty darn good. First one that I gravitated towards was looking at Bobby Witt Jr. I mean, the guy's been on another planet. I'm not a big look at the box score, look at whatever else. But I mean, we're talking about a 24-year-old shortstop who hits over 340 and is just setting the world on fire. And I see this 1.5 hits plus runs plus RBIs. And I know we're going to be primarily talking about NFL, and I'm going to be bringing it up. But one of the beauties of playing Pick'em is that you're able to combine them, as well as Dylan Cease, who right now 4.5 pitcher strikeouts is minus 125 or higher, pretty much every sports book in the entire country. I am finding it interesting that the field has gotten sharper. Normally, when they put these popular plays out, you'll make fun of a couple of them because it's like, the only reason they're betting this one is because he went over in 5 straight, and it's just like a terrible matchup, completely different situation. But I do think these 2 squares from a baseball perspective, Bobby Witt and Dylan Cease, they're actually good fundamental building blocks, and we can add some NFL to those.
Yeah, look, anytime you want to open up with the first actual round, right, of Major League Baseball, I'm here for it. If you think that there is an angle, it gets a little tighter by all means, and I'm just waiting for the Phillies faces to pop up to try and take advantage. See what Kyle Schwarber is offered here. It's a shame that PrizePicks, Eric, doesn't do first plate appearances. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it is a little bit of a bummer because you in first plate appearances somehow, some way have been
Only with
profitable,
him.
which again is
Only
such
with
a
him.
fluke. It's such a fluke, and I don't know what to tell you other than you run better than God.
Only in one specific small market with one player do I happen to run better than maybe everybody but.
Schwarb.
All right, so
Schwarb.
do you want to open this up and ruin a football card because you're trusting Dylan Cease in a playoff game?
Fine. I'm just trying to give people some options on cards, like plays
No,
that they can
keep
make and
that. Keep
rotate
that.
around a lot of fun. Okay.
Here's what
Bobby
I would
Witt
say.
and Dylan Cease. So we're going to get a
Right.
Saturday sweat, and if those get through, then we get a Sunday sweat. That's
There
a
you go.
great way to live your life.
All right, so let's do that. We're building 5 anyway here, so keep that. And you want to start, of course, with Alvin Kamara. I can't imagine there would be a better place to start than that. Let's do it.
Okay, Alvin Kamara. I mean, this is just kind of the nice thing, too. We're going to be having our projections intertwined more and more and more with everything that we got going over at Odd Shopper and then Stokastic. The combination of the two, it's going to be very, very beautiful. But Alvin Kamara has been just getting all of the work, and I don't want to do any of the alternate squares here. This has been one of the more popular plays that exists on planet Earth, and I really don't have any problem with it. They're going to be hosting Kansas City here in this spot on Monday night, and God, I just don't see any reason that 56.5 should be the prevailing number, other than like Kansas City being in a game script where they're ahead the entire time. But with no Rashee Rice, with no Hollywood Brown, it's going to have to be Travis Kelce or nobody. And like, we could almost correlate Kamara 56.5 rushing yards, with like some unders on the Kansas City side. And we just say New Orleans takes the air out of the ball. Patrick Mahomes has nobody to throw to anymore outside of the corpse of Travis Kelce. And we'll see he looked a lot better there in that Chargers spot. But Alvin Kamara, I think 56.5 rushing yards is really, really soft.
Yeah, I mean, you saw where we had him projected, at least from a fantasy point standpoint. And just looking at overall projections, this is a great matchup. I agree with you here. And it's been tough.
I don't know if it's a great matchup. I mean,
maybe not great. That's what I was going to say. It's been tough to move the football on the ground with the Chiefs as a whole. But I think that with volume alone, you're going to have to look at this prime time. Again, this is not going to be a shootout. Everybody thinks that what you saw last night is going to be a copy and paste, right? More of these. You ain't going to get more of those. At least you're not going to, few and far between. The reality is you're way more likely on a primetime game. Keep that guy there, by the way, because I've got something with him. Go back if you can to Swift.
Ooh.
The reality, though, is in a primetime game, you're way more likely for teams that are flying high to be limited than you are with teams that are just barely struggling to score all of a sudden to explode. Anyway, with that said, look, both of these guys I think are live here, but I'm not interested so much in rushing as I am, Eric, in receiving. And I'm interested in fading here. And here's the biggest reason, right? First off, you've got 2 guys now who are active in the backfield. Roshan is clearly a fixture, right? Shout out. I think we got him anytime touchdown on at least one of our cards last week. Yep. That's fine. That's great. Yep. But this week, they go up against a Carolina team that is atrocious against the run, trying to slow down running backs. And both of these guys are far better served with their touches, again, splitting touches, not just carries, but overall, they're far better served running the football. Even if you're down 7-10, somehow if you find your way down to Dalton's Dandies, which I don't think is going to happen, but ultimately, I'm looking at this game from a standpoint of this is the best place to attack Carolina's defense on the ground. I'm going to go less. I would look at that 14.5 receiving yards. I don't know if there's going to simply be look, he breaks one. I'm here next week to say I apologize, but I don't think he's going to get the volume when it comes to pass catching for Swift to go over that number.
I mean, you're tapped into Swift a lot more than I am, coming from your football team, the Philadelphia Eagles, to the Chicago Bears this year. Every Chicago Bear fan I know was beating the drum to have DeAndre Swift sent out on a rail after 4 games, where you could see the offensive line, or after 3 games, where you could see the offensive line was more of the problem than anything else. That would generally lead you to receiving yards, but we're talking about Carolina here too, the most inept defense that's going to exist in the National Football League. Them and Washington 1-2. However, Washington brings a lot of offense to the table. Carolina, been bringing offense the last 2 weeks under Dalton, so shout out them. But I'm with you where I think DeAndre Swift, less than 14 and a half receiving yards. I think that's kind of a fun one to throw into the mix there. I would almost be like inclined to take the extra off the top here and almost go to 68 and a half rushing and receiving yards. It was kind of an interesting spot where DeAndre Swift, I mean, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? I mean, that was just absolute evisceration there. He found ways to be effective finally, but it's not like the offensive line changed for me, and I still don't trust them entirely, but I'm happy to fire up 14 and a half receiving yards. If it is going to be like a passing game script, that's when Roschon Johnson, even though he's the bigger back between the two, he's like 6 foot 225. Roschon Johnson, more of the pass catcher, quote unquote, pass catcher between the two, I suppose. So makes sense to me. Man, we've got our first Sunday play on the card. That's kind of wild that it took us this long to get there, but I'm happy for it.
By the way, just so you see this here, we do have him projected at just under 15 receiving yards. Yep. I'm willing.
That's from a mean perspective too. So we're talking median, like we're talking about the median outcome. I'm much more inclined to be taking less if something is going to be matching up identical to mean projections.
I like that line of thinking here. All right, so we've got what, 4? We need one more here on PrizePicks.
Yeah, I had a couple that I was kind of rotating through. Now, I was looking at some fantasy score because these have gotten to be softer and softer and softer as we've gone along. But there are certain players like Zay Flowers that, finally getting to go up against the Cincinnati secondary. I was like, I'm looking at the less there. I'm looking at a couple of other spots. But how do you feel about less on Kyler Murray? Because I do think San Francisco going to absolutely stifle him.
Wow.
And we've seen James Conner. I like Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray is somebody that I'm very, very invested in from best ball, year-long perspective. Love Kyler Murray, but San Francisco is about as bad of a spot as it gets. Having to take them on here, I do not think that this is going to be a fantastic spot for him and company. Plus, I guess I should probably talk about it because I was just
What's the number here?
But I want to pull up some of these combo plays because kind of the inverse of yesterday where I liked the passing expectation for both quarterbacks, Kirk Cousins, Baker Mayfield, and I didn't want to just take one of them. Obviously, if I had taken Baker, I would have been short of it, but I got 500 plus yards out of Kirk Cousins. I know we have Brock Purdy projected as the top passing quarterback in terms of yardage on the slate this week, if I do recall. 269. Yeah, we've got him at 269. But look at some of these combo plays when you start putting in my Iowa State boy, Brock Purdy.
By the way, I'm over 7.5 wins on Iowa State.
Oh, my God.
We're looking really good.
Well, 255 would be something we'd be interested on the over of. But I think for me, this is like a take the ball out of the air game or take the air out of the ball game for Jordan Mason and San Francisco here. We also have Jordan Mason. San Francisco is finding ways to be effective offensively, even without Christian McCaffrey. And part of that is when you have Deebo Samuel and Juwan Jennings with his ridiculous game. And Brandon Ayuk still exists, even though we haven't seen it yet. But I kind of like less on the entire portfolio of the game. Kyler Murray is somebody that I think we're going to see him have to rush it a little bit more to be effective in some of these spots. And we have him at 222. So 222, 269. I suppose that might be a little bit heavy there on that one. But like Brock Purdy more, Kyler Murray, that's why I was kind of looking at the Kyler from a fantasy perspective, because I don't trust him to be able to throw for 2 touchdowns. 0.5, if you do think that he's going to do that, change that to 1.5. You're basically fading a big scramble, I think, because I just don't see him finding a lot of success through the air here.
18.48 projected fantasy points. I'm actually really intrigued with Arizona and the hook this week at 7.5.
Okay.
And this does actually correlates, I think, more so than not your plays here. But San Francisco is banged up pretty significantly on defense. There are those Red Cross pictures, right? Those little signs, whatever they are, the insignia thing next to like everybody's name. Guys are either missing or they're playing hurt on this defense right now. And I do think this is a Connor type game where you want to, against a division foe who's banged up, you want to really set and try and be physical and not ask Kyler Murray to do a ton. And on the flip side here, look, there are going to be opportunities. But you know this, right? Like, just because you
Mhm.
have all this talent on San Francisco doesn't mean that they just call plays. Like, Kyle Shanahan doesn't call plays every time where Brock Purdy drops back 5 steps and throws the ball 40 yards down the field. That's just not their offense every single time he throws the ball. So I'm with you. It's going to take probably a lot to get over that passing total combined.
Mhm.
But I think I like where you were going with Murray individually first, just because I think this is more of a Connor game.
Yep. Think it's more of a Connor game. If they get anything going on the ground, they'll be
18 and a half.
successful to a certain extent. They do get Trey McBride back. It was brought up this morning that he's expected to play. We're recording this early Friday morning, so for what that's
Let's
worth,
see.
that should be helpful to you. And then yeah, there's an opportunity I think for Marvin Harrison. He's just very very good regardless. We haven't seen him completely show out outside of the week 2, I believe, blow up spot, but Kyler Murray less than 18 and a half fantasy score. Again, we've got him at 18.48. It is identical scoring for what it's worth. Is you pull up the scoring chart, it's identical scoring basically to what you're getting on DK outside of no 100-yard rush bonus, no 100-yard pass or 300-yard passing bonus. But with that said, if he throws for 300 or if he runs for 100, he's probably going over, and it doesn't matter anyway. So I'm not thinking about it too much. Kyler, I mean, there's a part of me that wants him to play well because of how much I have him in best ball. I think he's my second highest owned quarterback in best ball. But yeah, Kyler Murray, probably going to be shorting him against San Francisco in some capacity. So I'm happy to roll with this as a 5-man. We got 2 baseball plays. We got a Monday night playing Kamara. We got Swift, less 14 and a half receiving. We got 18 and a half fantasy score less for Kyler Murray. Good blend of stuff. And obviously, the big thing for me is that the difference between mean and median projections and understanding that, like, if it's going to be even money from a mean perspective, we should be taking lesses on those spots because the median is always going to be underneath it. And Austin Eckler will play week 4. I'm very curious to see if Brian Robinson ends up in there because Austin Eckler could end up the
week 5
the DFS chalk of the week. And if you click on this right now, I know that it's against Cleveland, but he's going to be out there under all circumstances because I got to think that as much as they like what they saw from McNichols in the passing game last week, we're talking about one of the premier passing backs in football over the last 5 years.
I really like the over in that game, and I think there's ways that we can attack that on Underdog. Curious to see what pops up on Pick 6 too. So with that said, let's keep it moving here. And again, we've got links below. If you're watching on Twitter, by all means, head on over to our Stokastic YouTube page, hit that thumbs up button on the way, and make sure you're subscribed, of course. Well, I thought, Josh was going to push us through over 100K. What happened here?
Josh, he got a little bit big for his britches there. He was talking a big game. He said he was going to do it by himself. Also, I thought it was just incredibly well timed by him to throw it together because I was like, yo, that is absolutely insanity that that the perfect timing ends up coming through to almost have the 100K. What if we hit 100K on this show? That would be insane.
Be fantastic. Yeah, I mean, look, that would be amazing. You have to tell people who are watching on your Twitter account, because that's where the majority of people and our odd shop or Stochastic as well, to come on over to the YouTube page and subscribe so we can get over 100K.
Shadow ban.
Look, my new account's doing great. That's all I'm going to say, man. I told Ben this. I am like maybe 3 months. I think my New Year's resolution is going to be to delete my main Twitter account because it's so clogged with BS and like multiple algorithms, not even sports stuff, because I follow people who follow me back, and I didn't know any better, that some belligerent maniac on the left or some belligerent maniac on the right. And now all of a sudden it's like, the algorithms all over the place. My betting account is doing great. I have no issues. I'm deleting. January 1st, 2025, I will have one Twitter account, and it will be the best day of my life.
So out of all 4 of these free squares for WNBA, because again, we want to always use the free squares. We want to always be utilizing it. I mean, I've got free squares that I'm utilizing every day. Look at the pick'em. Oh yeah, I've got this. So we'll get into this play because this is the baby for the 20% profit boost. But I brought up Jordan Mason, I brought up Kyron Williams, and then Derrick Henry rushing plus receiving touchdown, minus 160 now. I saw as an opening number for FanDuel. I was waiting for some of those anytime touchdowns to get dropped. you always want to be referencing sportsbook odds relative to some of these other spots. But Kyren and Jordan Mason, I am expecting very, very heavy doses of running the football for them specifically. Arizona and Green Bay can't stop a nosebleed on the ground. This will be really, really fun.
Yeah, that's your preset little boost there on Underdog, right?
Yeah, I had a 20% profit boost there, so I just spent the 100 on that and threw it together. But we're gonna build something out here for
Asia. You got to have Asia in there.
You got to have Asia because 19.5, they're down 0-2 for people who care about WNBA or don't.
She's gonna cook tonight.
She's gonna cook because she had like 2 shot attempts in the first quarter and then 2 in the second quarter last game, and then she got completely ballistic. But it was just a little too late, a little too wrong, and I can't wait. So
20 points is easy. I think we got that made.
Yeah. So I'm doing that as opposed to Ionescu, who can go 1 for 10 at the drop of a hat. We've seen that a couple of times.
That's fine.
Wilson is not going to have low quality looks against Brianna Stewart.
Real quick for everybody out here, we go 5 on PrizePicks, right? And by the way, we have links below for all of these different places that you can sign up. I know we're highlighting PrizePicks and Underdog and DK Pick 6, but again, we're doing content across the board on others, including Sleeper, what have you. So we've got links all there below. Come on over to Stokastic. It's an easy sign up. You can look at the tools that we'll use to beat these places. It's rather easy once you actually apply it. So just wanted to get that out. 5 on PrizePicks, 3 on Underdog, correct? With the free square. So basically 2 for us now with the free square. Do you want to go somewhere else or do you want to go right back to Kyren?
Yeah, we're going to Kyren here right out to start it off. So as I was showing there on the screen while you were talking, Jordan Mason has now been steamed up a little bit, 88.5. Did I get 86.5? Is that what I ended up locking in? Yeah, 86.5. The Derrick Henry rushing touchdown, I would have never done that if it weren't for the 20% profit boost on it. So disregard that as we're looking at things because he is a massive favorite and you should almost not be ever looking at a lot of these anytime touchdown numbers. They're pretty brutal unless you're able to react to news. But Aja Wilson, Kyren Williams, though, 84.5 rushing yards. We at Stokastic, pulling up those projections yet again, we've got him at 100 on the dot, basically, 100.5. Kyren Williams is getting 20, 25 carries in a spot like this against Green Bay at home. Everything is kind of just lining up for Kyren Wilson to be this unbelievable bell cow yet again this season. And Green Bay this season, I mean, have you been watching this? I mean, I get it's only, 109.3 rushing yards per game now, but Minnesota, they basically just were happy to run into the back of the offensive line the entire second half yesterday. Saquon Barkley, ya boy, had no problems dealing with Green Bay in week 1. I worked through a lot of iterations of this game. That's what we do with the Sims and everything here. And I just think Kyren Williams just way too secure I mean, Blake Corum is on special teams. That's all he's played all year. It's just insanity to me that Kyren Williams is less than 90 yards in this spot, and let alone that we've got him at 100. He's sitting at 84.5. You want to be on higher now rather than later.
Yeah, I agree. I think the end point that you made is key here is just not waiting by all means.
Correct.
So where we are now is Asia and Kyren, and we need one more. Now you already built something, so if you want to go back,
you're the guy firing up all the Underdog here for us lately, and you've been doing a great job, may I add. Promo code. What is the promo code if you haven't signed up?
It is OS15.
OS15. OS15. Right. That gets you a lot of the fixings. What does it get you? It gets you some good
stuff. $1,000 deposit match. I can tell you that.
That is outrageously good. That would be where you want to fire it up. I mean, every time I get a deposit bonus or anytime I'm getting free squares or I'm getting a choose one, I'm just utilizing these all the time because they're just kind of no-brainers at this point.
It's insane.
20% profit boost on NHL entries up to $1,000. I mean,
yep. No, and that's the beauty of these free squares and tacos and anything else. Speaking of which, we got to get DK here on this show because he's the master of tacos when it comes to PrizePicks. But the beauty of it is that you don't even need to just look at your typical play. A lot of times you can work that boost in your favor. Sleeper, other places, Underdog, you'll get alt options, right? So if you really like the guy clearing 40 and the numbers 45, whatever, you're able to apply that free square as essentially a boost. So for me, earlier today, I'll give you the two that I threw out. All right, that we have on the underdog short. You tell me if you like either one of them. Okay.
Well, we can build 2 different cards on Underdog. I think that's
No, no, I,
probably the
I just
preferred
want to
way to
give you
do it.
one for now, or
Okay,
unless you think
sounds
we're
good.
gonna have, we're gonna run short. We need to kill time. We can come back to underdog,
Well, I'm
right?
trying to a lot of the best lines right now still exist on Underdog if we're
All right. Well,
looking at
let's
a
keep
couple of
building. Keep building.
yeah, we'll keep
So
building.
I'll give you the two, and then you look at which one you like the best, and then if you don't like
Mhm.
the other one, we'll start from scratch. If you do like the other one, we'll use that to anchor another card. What do you think?
I love it.
So the two that I threw out, Mark Andrews higher than 23.5 receiving yards, Terry McLaurin higher than 59. I went a little alt and was 55. I pushed it to 60 receiving yards in that game.
It's who?
Terry McLaurin.
Terry McLaurin.
So
Scary
did you
Terry.
get the first? Yeah, Terry MC. Terry. Terry. Come on, man. Where are you?
He's
What
not
world
there.
is this? He's not available?
Let me find him here. It's got to be something going on here. Terry
Was he pulled?
McLaurin is not currently listed.
Okay, well, there we go. And for those of you who think I'm joking or making this crap up,
I mean, the main reason is that we have Austin Eckler now playing week 5, and we have no idea if Brian Robinson is or not.
but here's the crazy part about it though, man, is that I just did this short at 7:30 in the morning and I sent you a text
I
Eastern
see
time.
it.
I
59
just
and a
sent
half.
you the text of the screenshot that I took of
You're no
this.
liar. So you can
No,
see projections are changing in real time all through the day.
good
They're
point.
they're changing. This is constantly moving. Every site is. Even Pick Six now has moving projections, so you have to be paying attention to that stuff. But yeah, Scary
Wow.
Terry got ripped off the board, which
Let's
makes
do
sense because
Andrews.
that news broke while we were recording here. Austin Eckler, Brian Robinson considered game time decision for Week 5. If he does not play, you're looking at again DFS, massive chalk, and there would be a lot of value on this. So if you just thought, hey, Brian Robinson didn't practice the last couple days, he's not going to play, yada, 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 sweet. Oh, the
He's
other thing that
currently a
happened,
game time decision.
this got buried between the two alerts for what it's worth. Noah Brown ruled out for week 5. So Noah Brown, that's the reason Terry McLaurin's off the board.
By the way, this is a risk, but if Brian Robinson truly is a game time decision and gets ruled out on either late Saturday or Sunday through Adam Schefter, the solo and 2 touchdown odds for Austin Eckler will be absolutely World War III level nuked.
Yep.
I wonder if there's any value right now, as is, on just taking him in real life to score a touchdown.
That's
And
what
then, well, I'm just looking at the odds
I love
myself.
it. Here's the thing. We get the discounted projection, which again, you never want to just say, oh, well, now it's positive EV because we got the
It's plus
discounted projection
105.
and you add
Yes.
whatever. But at the same time, if we do want to back Austin Eckler, and I do lean towards thinking Brian Robinson's not going to play. It was a surprise pop up on the injury report 2 days ago. And again, when you're doing this every single day, all day, clicking buttons, making cards, I mean, you're trying to take advantage of news or spots where lines are going to move or projections are going to move in the case of Pick'em here. And I think Austin Eckler, this is going to be 1.1 if in the event, like he's the most likely person to score on Washington, period, if Brian Robinson ruled out, period. End of story.
Yeah, even more than McLaurin with Noah Brown ruled out. I just sent you the odds here. So we've got Eckler plus 105 anytime, and Eckler 2 TDs is plus 750.
Yeah, I think we lock this in now for what it's worth.
Do you think that these numbers haven't already been tanked? Or do you
No.
think they opened in this range?
Well, okay, so let's talk about the multiplier, what this means when it says 1.42x. What it
I'm
does
sorry,
is
you were talking about locking in underdog, not the bet that I sent you.
oh, yeah, no, the bet you sent me is probably positive EV, although I would say it already got nuked. Plus
I would
105 is
think so.
probably more appropriate. It did not get nuked here
No.
in kind of the comparison, 1.42x. It doesn't mean that it's plus 142, but what it means is that when you combine the multipliers together, now that multiplier gets added into your payout structure, and this becomes 8.52x. So that is like a plus 752 bet. I always just take the one off, plus 752. That is going to be your 3-legger. Now, Kyren Williams, obviously, I project him closer to like a minus 150 type number on going over this. Aja, obviously, she's going to be like minus 200 or better to be finishing this one off. And then Austin Eckler, if we're getting plus 105 on FanDuel, that card you just sent me here over text, I have no problem in clicking on Austin Eckler here because a minus 200 leg, a minus 150 leg, and a plus 105 leg, they're not going to pay you plus 752. In fact, we can go to a parlay calculator anywhere on planet Earth. I'll do this behind the scenes. I'll just keep it in on Austin Eckler and zoom in here on the world as we do those things. But you can just Google parlay calculator, and we could go minus 200, minus 150, and then we'll call him plus 105, which is the line currently over on FanDuel. And that is...
Oh, man, you're going to love this.
Minus 200, minus 150, plus 200, plus 650. So we're getting 100, we're getting a full buck difference between this payout and the payout that you're getting if we're just assuming that Wilson is minus 200. And again, Kyren minus 150, I think is actually pretty appropriate.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. I mean, you would have to they run these boosts, right? So FanDuel, for example, has this boost where you can push that to 30%.
What is the line for Kyren on FanDuel for what it's worth?
The boost, by the way, on Eckler gets it to plus 137. And while that's plus EV, I still don't know how much more of a benefit that is over what you're getting on Underdog, as crazy as that sounds.
Yeah. So I just changed it to minus 120 for Kyren because that's the line. I don't want to like fabricate a line or anything, but minus 250, minus 120, plus 200, that's plus 670.
Hold on, I'll do you want the actual number for the Rams?
Give me the actual number because, I mean, are you able to combine Wilson points, like 20 plus points with that?
Yeah, I mean, anytime is minus 240 right now on FanDuel. So these two together, Williams and Eckler.
I forgot the main thing. We should definitely be clicking on Eckler here because they have vulture protection. So there's this thing right here, vulture protection for your running back. Now, it's not as good as what it was the first week that they rolled it out, because if you read the fine print, a touchdown scored by a QB will not qualify. Well, wouldn't you know it, Jaden Daniels happens to like to run the football, and that sucks a little bit because a rush TD must come from the opposing 10-yard line. But what it does protect you against is this McNichols fellow, the former Tennessee Titan, Jeremy McNichols. It prevents you from having him show up and vulture a touchdown or getting a receiving touchdown or having something happen within those 10-yard line there because, vulture protection gives you a little bit extra. I got to think that week 5, if Brian Robinson ends up out, I'm sure Underdog is going to switch this and make it Austin Eckler. Maybe I'm crazy about that, but if Brian Robinson's ruled out, it would be weird to me to not have vulture protection on Austin Eckler.
All right, so just looking at everything here as a whole, all right, and it looks like I can do that. So this is what we have.
It's wild how there aren't any sports on TV today. I was at 20 plus minus 290. Kyren. So it wouldn't be Kyren Williams anytime touchdown. It'd be on the 84.5 rushing yards.
Oh, 84.5 rushing yards?
Yep.
All right. Well, I'll figure that out. I'll tell you that on the fly.
In the meantime,
I am curious though. I mean, Kyren anytime at minus 240. I thought you were really just pushing the brakes here on this thing, but
I would never.
84.5 rushing yards. Look, again, what's the number to beat?
Plus 750.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to do it because I'm at plus 170 right now. So if I go 80.5 rushing yards, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm at plus 40. I'm at plus 417. You're getting nearly double on Underdog.
Fantastic.
It's insane.
These are why we do these shows. So we're going to click that one in. Wilson with Kyren Williams with Austin Eckler anytime touchdown. I have now placed that wager.
And now you know you can't bet that parlay on a book if you're getting plus 417 because of how bad you're getting ripped off, just send it to Eric. Eric will bet it for you on Underdog.
See, I'm such a nice fellow. Actually, I won't, because that is illegal and we would not want to do such things like that. But
no, I meant like if you are in, I didn't mean you have to cross state lines. Why are you automatically assuming that I'm pushing for that? I just meant like you could be down the street and you've got things to do and you don't want to place, you want to parlay tonight, you want action, and you live in an underdog state.
I do.
You know.
So that makes it easy. Oh, also, Arizona has everything at this point in time. So if you're going to move to one state, just move to Arizona with my parents.
Not Florida.
Hang out with them.
Isn't it a little bit easier to deal with the Florida heat than the Arizona heat?
No, Arizona's dry. Florida's humid. I
understand it's different. I get that it's different. I said that it would be easier, right?
Oh, no, it's insane. Did I freeze? No,
yeah,
I didn't.
Freezing.
There we go. Nope, I'm back in. I'm back in the saddle again.
Mr. Freeze, was that the worst villain ever?
Freeze.
Seriously, like, what the hell was that? Can we talk about that?
Poison Ivy. That was the other annoying voice.
Yeah, and then wasn't there was that the Tommy Lee Jones one too?
I don't know. Somebody with an annoying voice. Somebody like when I hear my voice, it sounds like chalk on a chalkboard thing. I don't know, because like in my head, I sound very.
I didn't shoot my wife. I don't care. Right? Like, what's the Tommy Lee Jones accent?
Yeah, that was pretty good actually. But yeah, he just has his face like this the whole time.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
We're going to need a 15-foot perimeter, around a 16-foot perimeter, around a 20-foot perimeter. We have a fugitive on the loose. No, that's too Southern, though, right?
That was really good. There's hockey starting in 18 minutes on Pick 6. That's kind of wild to look at.
We need a goal scorer. Hold on. Let me check. Let me see what my man has in here.
We got here. We could do fantasy points with that. Congratulations to Jay Kari on probably winning every GPP, because he does all the time. I feel like the Stanley Cup was just a joke how many times he won 10K. It was just a joke. Anyway.
Do you wait a second. Is there anything that you see? I'm getting I got a really good sharp guy in my Discord here that does hockey, right?
Okay.
And he likes Jay Pat for a long shot goal scorer. Are you going to work anything there?
That's not gonna work for Pick 6, because they're pretty much going to have the most common guys for points.
Got it. So you can't leverage that long of a shot.
Yeah, it's just so weird to see Buffalo again, because Buffalo hasn't played hockey in forever. Because when's the last time Buffalo was in the playoffs?
I'm sure somebody can figure this out, but if you want to know, Buffalo Sabres' last playoff appearance was 2011.
It is 2024.
So, by the way, this is what the first thing that pops up, right, is 26 April 2011. I'm just going to read you this. The Buffalo Sabres, this is from Reddit, apparently. The Buffalo Sabres' last playoff game was 26 April 2011. That's how it's listed. Separately, Osama bin Laden was killed on 2nd May 2011, meaning the Buffalo Sabres' last playoff appearance was when America's #1 terrorist enemy was still alive. That's April 10th in 2024. That's Reddit right there explaining the last time you saw the Buffalo Sabres. You asked, I answered.
I'm frozen again, but not really. Just
you like that cartoon.
So NFL, this is where we get to really have fun with the correlation, because on Pick 6, friends, there are no rules. And there's one rule that I have this week, and that is that you need to be game stacking every time that you're throwing like 3 or more plays together. There's just no reason not to at this point. Correlation is just being taken, like correlation has been hammered down repeatedly here. And I want to go to the afternoon window, because there is an interesting one where, again, we could correlate all those unders I was talking about. Again, Marvin Harrison, 56.5 receiving yards. We could correlate it with that. McBride, maybe he ends up limited, and Elijah Higgins ends up on the field a little bit more again. Or not again. I mean, obviously, Trey McBride was freaking out last time, but maybe he's limited in some capacity. We could take some unders with that in addition. But I'm pretty much not trying to correlate over on Underdog and PrizePicks anymore, because of how easy and awesome it is to do over on this site. But I want to go to the Sunday night football game, because this you might have saw on the underdog card, I was screwing around with some different iterations of how I wanted it to look, what I
I
wanted it to
did, yeah.
do. But this is going to be the smash, friends. This is how I win. This is how I win. Dak Prescott, more than 240 and a half passing yards on the road in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's defense has been absurdly good. I'm not going to sit here and say that they're not good in any capacity. But when we're talking about 240 and a half and the removal of Brandon Cooks, I don't understand how Jalen like I've been saving him the entire time for this program, but Jalen Tolbert, I think, is going to close around 39 and a half. I mean, this is just such a freaking low, egregious number. Jake Ferguson is pretty straight up in our projections right now at the moment, but I don't even hate going to like Turpin or CeeDee Lamb and having them be the piece as opposed to Jake Ferguson. There are just so many ways to game stack this. And then Pat Fryermuth out here, your boy is running routes. Your boy has been Justin Fields' like go-to guy here in some of these spots. I love the capacity. Like, I'm going to rotate these stacks around so much. Now, it sucks because this is only on the single game and people like their mores as is, but the potential you get for a massive payout by just game stacking and hoping people take like best projected and having a couple of those plays fail, or, you know, it is Pittsburgh and people might be on some more lesses than normal, but you're able to get those game stacks together in a way where your payout, it's never going to go below a certain threshold on pick six. And I think getting a game stack in here, or, you know, that under for Arizona, San Francisco, getting some game stacks rolled into your 4 or 5 pick cards, that is such a big edge. You know, you could do this with Lamb. Instead of playing $10 on both, you could go Ferguson and Lamb. I have no problem doing that as a 4-person game stack. And the reason that I'm playing 4 for this is that you go to 5 and you can miss one and it can still pay out and such. But the 4 stacks tend to have better payouts when you go 4 of 4, because you go 3 of 4, it's a failure. It's only paying out to the top end of the range. The 5 picks, these are the least popular, and actually they are the ones that they have the least amount of money into. And so you might get sharper action than you might want. But you want to be playing like the 6-pick ones, and you want to be playing the 4-pick ones, because those are the ones that I've shown to have the highest ROI with. And the 4-pick, it just makes for a nice, clean box of correlated plays.
I love that, especially because, as you mentioned, the other game, and I just saw this, by the way, I think it's record high. I don't think it's been, at least since they've been counting or keeping whatever kind of count this is, in Santa Clara. Like, this is going to be the hottest day on record for that Niners-Arizona game.
Really?
Yes. And I think that also plays absolutely into the under here, at least with one team struggling in the heat. And look, I when you talk about a rarity like that, that's not Tampa, right? That's not a team that's used to playing in that type of heat. This is like record. It's supposed to be record high out there. You should know this. You're in the same state. What's wrong with you here? But
I'm way south. I'm way south.
It's
I'm
still
6 hours south.
It's the state.
Remember,
By the way,
remember
Hamilton.
Oh my God. Do you remember the Mark Twain? The coldest winter I ever spent was a summer in San Francisco. So yeah, you get up to Santa Clara, you get up north of that. Dude, I have a wedding this weekend in San Diego. I have a wedding next weekend potentially that I don't even know if I'm confirmed to go to that one yet, because it's just so. I just got back. Well,
look, you know, you go on vacation and life happens around you, and now you're asking for sympathy. I don't understand. By the way, I think you can absolutely build in correlated under in that game, that Arizona San Fran game, knowing that it's going to be ridiculously hot. I also, as I mentioned, I think Arizona is certainly live at 7.5 in this game. And we already talked about just the running impact of it and how difficult it's going to be for at least Kyler Murray and Brock Purdy, I think, to consistently work the ball down the field. Yeah, 223.5. It's a big number. I get it because Marvin Harrison is there. But you're still asking for a lot in this game. McBride, first game back, right? Like, okay.
I'm nervous about this. Like, I click on the Ayuk, and I just feel like the Ayuk game is coming in such a ridiculous fashion. Like, how due is Brandon Ayuk in terms of, like, they haven't even had to, like, look his way. George Kittle, I mean, that's the thing I'm worried about with taking a less here as well, is, like, George Kittle I don't think is expected to play.
Right.
That probably
Have you ever heard the radio call when Ayuk scores?
no.
Really? I thought you would have.
Nope. I'm just a feeble-minded peasant. I don't know
They
that stuff.
say the guy what? Yeah. The guy says Ayuk is on fire, and he sings it like that, like the song, like the roof. You've never heard that before?
Never once. I
But he's
apparently am
got
not
like
a football fan.
Tim Ryan. So he's got like this super gruff Ayuk is on fire. Like, you've never heard that?
No, the most famous radio calls Kansas City. That's the one you hear all the time. And
Well,
then my Minnesota
Mike,
Vikings, I could do that one too.
What about the Titans? It's just he's just yelling, touchdown. He's got that like high touchdown Titans. They just don't score enough touchdowns for you to know that.
Yeah, see, I would never know that, and neither would they.
Okay.
That's what it
is. Look, let's do this here. Trying to move out of the way as we get down here. All right. Well, if you don't want to fade this game, then don't. Or if you just don't want to take Ayuk in there and you don't want to hear that radio call 6 or 7 times as he rains down on Arizona's defense, that's fine. That's how fade Greg Dortch.
Well, I kind of like Kyle Juszczyk catching the football. I feel like we should all be on Kyle Juszczyk overs with George Kittle out. Maybe that's just me.
I'm gonna fade. Look, if you're going to fade everybody in this game, then somebody's going to benefit.
More on Kyle Juszczyk.
Yeah, exactly. Like that is a maniacal pivot right there. I mean, come on, look at that shit right there.
This is how I win. Yes, Kyle Juszczyk.
Come on, man. Put him in 9.5.
Shout out DK DFS. If we have him on this show to break down some pick'em, I think that he will be the first person we bring up, Kyle Juszczyk, because he had the GOAT Kyle Juszczyk call. 0.5 receptions was like plus money as everything was going down, and nobody was on it even with Christian McCaffrey out. That was insanity. That's
sick. Do you want to bet the Austin Eckler, or do you want to just build a touchdown round robin instead and use Eckler in there?
Yeah, we could probably throw that one into the round robin. We'll be throwing out more content over the weekend. I'm sure you and I can throw out some stuff for Tails. Again, Tails, that's what's behind me. If you guys want to be jumping in the Discord, I am firing up not just the book stuff with you, my friend, but we've also got all of the pick'em that we're talking about here. 2 for 1. We got promo code 2 for 1. You can get all of the stuff for Eytan. You can sign up for all the stuff with me, all for 2 for 1. $19.95 first week, $49.95 first month. And when you do that, you will get pick'em cards from me. You will get all of the most insane parlays you've ever seen in your entire life. That, I don't know, you've hit 2 like +9 hundos here in the last week, which is a little scary to me, but here we are.
Yeah, nice one. I forget what day of the week it was. Wednesday, maybe? Something like that.
October.
Thursday. We're not bragging about Thursday, although college has been fine so far. College has been fine. Here comes my son. I told you I had to be out at 55, and I was a minute off.
And we are out, friends. So with that,
I'm here.
My friend.
My son just came over. I had this cup of coffee.
All right. So I will recap those cards for the people. We're going to post them up. I have the correlated cards on Pick 6.
Do you have the first one, though, the PrizePicks?
Yeah. So the PrizePicks one, I mean, the PrizePicks one was pretty straightforward. 2 baseball plays. Kamara, 56.5 rushing yards. DeAndre Swift, less than 14.5 receiving yards. Yep. Kyler Murray, 18.5 fantasy scores. So we'll throw that one together for the people. The 3-pick cards, again, we do 3-pick over on Underdog because that's the best way to do it. Aja Wilson, we're taking that, the discounted square there. You can play up to $10 on that. We're going to combine that with the very, very obvious to me, Kyron Williams, more than 84.5 rushing yards against the Packers. And then anytime touchdown for our boy, Austin Eckler. And we're going to finish it out with Pick 6. We have the correlated cards for the Sunday night football game, Dallas and Pittsburgh, as well as correlated cards. Utilize correlation all the time on Pick 6. There is no reason that you shouldn't be, even if something looks neutral. If you have 2 plays that you really like that are mores, bring something along for the ride, because the chances of a quarterback going for more or less passing yards and having more players intertwined with it, it's going to enhance your chance of a massive, massive payout boost. And on Pick 6, it's harder to hit all 6 cards or 6 plays, that's for sure. But we'll throw a 6 picks one together. I'll have all of that available here within the next hour or so.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I love it. Appreciate everybody hanging here, of course. And, if there are other players, other games that you have, hit us up at Eric Lindquist, at Shander Bets, DK Metcalf. I know we didn't talk a ton about that game, but, you can start looking at angles and whatnot. So hit us up. Make sure you take advantage. Again, we just showed you, we built a parlay at a book, and we built the same parlay here, the same card on Underdog. We're giving you these links. We're giving you these breaks where you can sign up below, take advantage of that. 2-for-1 is the promo over at Tails a lot for you. So the only thing we would ask in return is just that you hit the thumbs up button and subscribe on the way out, right? It's pretty easy stuff.
I love that.
All right. Good for me. Good for you.
It's always good for me, Eytan.